I haven't lost my temper in 40 years. But Pilgrim, you caused a lot of trouble this morning. Might have got somebody killed. And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't.
For more than 3 decades, a quiet waterfront mansion in Newport Beach held the hidden chapters of a Hollywood legend. From the outside, it looked like any other luxurious home nestled along Southern California's sun-drenched coastline. But inside, sealed behind locked doors and guarded by silence, lay the intimate remains of John Wayne's life, a man known to the world simply as the Duke. When John Wayne died in 1979, his estate was immediately secured by the FBI. His home, which once echoed with the sounds of family, friends, and film executives, became a vault. Everything inside, letters, photographs, personal effects, was packed away and put under lock and key. No one was allowed in. No tours, no public access, just silence. It wasn't until 2011 that the doors finally opened again. What had been hidden for more than 30 years was revealed in a 2-day auction, and the findings stunned the world. From iconic film costumes and rare memorabilia to handwritten letters and personal items that shed light on Wayne's complicated life, the contents of the Duke's mansion painted a picture far more complex than the rugged cowboy he portrayed on screen. But to understand why this house and the legacy it held was so important, we have to go back to the beginning, to a small town in Iowa where a 13-pound baby named Marian Robert Morrison was born. And a journey began that would lead to stardom, scandal, and a name that would echo across generations. Born to be larger than life, John Wayne wasn't born into fame. He wasn't even born as John Wayne. His given name was Marian Robert Morrison, and he entered the world on May 26, 1907, in the tiny town of Winterset, Iowa. He was a massive baby, tipping the scale at 13 pounds. It was such an event that the local newspaper ran a story about it. From day one, it seemed Wayne was destined to stand out. But even in those early days, life wasn't easy. At just 3 years old, he fell into an icy creek during a frigid Midwestern winter. A stranger happened to pass by and pulled him from the freezing water. The incident nearly claimed his life, but it also marked him with a characteristic that would define him forever: resilience. Not long after, his identity would shift for the first time. When his parents welcomed a second son, they decided to give the new baby the name Robert, which meant Marian's middle name had to change. They renamed him Marian Mitchell Morrison, a seemingly small detail, but one that hinted at the fluidity of identity that would become a recurring theme in his life. In 1914, hardship struck again. His father's pharmacy business failed, forcing the family to move to Glendale, California. There, in a land of palm trees and motion pictures, young Marian found his footing. He also found his nickname. Constantly trailed by his beloved Airedale Terrier, also named Duke, the local firemen began calling the pair Big Duke and Little Duke. The name stuck, and Marian embraced it. As a teenager, Duke was athletic, disciplined, and ambitious. He fell in love with football, a sport that gave him purpose and direction. In 1925, his hard work paid off when he received a football scholarship to the University of Southern California, USC. He studied pre-law and joined the Sigma Chi fraternity, believing his future would be in courtrooms rather than sound stages. But fate had other plans. While body surfing at Newport Beach, he suffered a serious shoulder injury. The pain was immediate, and so was the fallout. He lost his scholarship and with it his dreams of becoming a lawyer. At the time, it felt like a tragedy. But in reality, that moment marked the beginning of a new path, one that would take him from USC's football field to the heart of Hollywood. From prop boy to John Wayne, the injury that cost Marian Morrison his football scholarship might have felt like a personal disaster, but it became the unexpected turning point of his life. With his dreams of law school behind him and bills to pay, he accepted a humble job at Fox Studios in 1927, earning $35 a week as a prop boy. It wasn't glamorous work, but it brought him into the world of movie making. His early film appearances were minimal and uncredited. Background roles where he was barely seen, such as playing a football player in the 1926 film Brown of Harvard. Still, he observed everything around him and formed valuable friendships. The most important of these was with the legendary director John Ford. Ford saw something in the tall, broad-shouldered Morrison, something more than a crew member hauling props. He became a mentor, helping guide him into the world of acting. It was Ford who suggested that Marian change his name. After considering various options, they landed on a name that would eventually tower over American cinema, John Wayne. But Wayne's early acting years were tough. Between 1930 and 1939, he starred in over 80 low-budget westerns, often filming entire movies in just 2 days. He lived on a shoestring budget, sometimes surviving on canned beans heated on a hot plate in his room. The relentless work and limited success led to doubts. By 1938, Wayne was seriously considering leaving acting altogether. Then came a break that would change everything. Stagecoach to stardom. When director John Ford began casting for his ambitious Western Stagecoach in 1939, Wayne wasn't the obvious choice. The studio wanted a marquee name like Gary Cooper, but Ford insisted. He believed Wayne was the perfect fit for the role of Ringo Kid, an outlaw with a deep sense of justice. Ford went so far as to threaten to walk away from the project if the studio didn't agree. The gamble paid off. Wayne's entrance in Stagecoach became an iconic moment in cinema history, rifle in hand, with the camera zooming in as he stood alone in the desert. The shot lasted only seconds, but it took 27 takes to get it right due to Wayne's nerves. The film was a major success, earning 7 Academy Award nominations and winning 2 Oscars. Even though he was now a rising star, Wayne earned only $3,700 for his role, pennies compared to Hollywood's elite. But the film launched him into a new realm of recognition. From then on, John Wayne wasn't just another actor, he was the face of the American Western. Wayne became increasingly selective, turning down major films like The Maltese Falcon and High Noon to preserve his Western image. This strategy solidified his brand, the rugged, unshakable American hero. He continued working with John Ford, and together they reshaped Hollywood. From Stagecoach onward, the two would collaborate on 14 films, becoming one of cinema's most celebrated director-actor partnerships. But their bond was far from simple. The Ford-Wayne brotherhood. Wayne and Ford's professional relationship spanned over 50 years, but it wasn't always easy. Ford was notoriously harsh on set, especially with Wayne. On the 1956 film The Searchers, Ford made him redo a simple scene, picking up a gun, 17 times, deliberately embarrassing him in front of the crew, but Wayne never pushed back. He believed Ford's demanding methods brought out his best performances. And he was right. Though The Searchers received no Oscar recognition at the time, it has since been hailed as one of the greatest films of all time, a masterclass in character and Western storytelling. Their final collaboration, Donovan's Reef, 1963, almost didn't happen. Wayne was aging and unsure if he could play the part convincingly. Ford, battling poor health and alcoholism, was also struggling. But Wayne pushed forward, even convincing Ford to direct. Filming in Hawaii, they endured scorching heat. Temperatures reached over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Ford developed shingles so severe that he directed some scenes from a stretcher. Unlike their earlier gritty westerns, Donovan's Reef was a lighthearted comedy. It was a departure in tone, but proved they still had range even in their twilight years. Throughout it all, Wayne's loyalty to Ford never wavered. Their partnership defined a genre and created characters that would shape the image of American masculinity for generations. By now, Wayne had become more than an actor. He was an institution, tough, loyal, and unshakably patriotic. But the road ahead would be filled with greater challenges. Oscar snubs, massive financial risks, and a public battle with cancer. Glory and grit chasing the Oscar. John Wayne's climb to superstardom wasn't without setbacks. Despite his iconic status, awards recognition often eluded him. His first major shot at Oscar Gold came with the 1949 film Sands of Iwo Jima, where he played Sergeant John Stryker, a hardened Marine training young recruits for the brutal realities of war. Initially, Wayne didn't want the role. He feared it was too similar to characters he had already played, but the president of Republic Pictures, Herbert Yates, knew the part was made for Wayne and offered a staggering $250,000 plus a percentage of the profits to convince him. Production was grueling. Director Alan Duane wanted realism, so the team used real flamethrowers and live explosives. During one intense scene, an explosion knocked Wayne unconscious for over 30 minutes, halting filming for days. Authenticity mattered even if it meant risking injury. Adding to the realism, the U.S. Marine Corps granted access to actual combat footage from the Battle of Iwo Jima. The footage was so seamlessly integrated with staged scenes that many viewers believed the entire movie had been shot in wartime. One especially memorable moment was the flag raising on Mount Suribachi. A blend of original footage and dramatic retelling. The real Marines who hoisted that flag even made cameo appearances. Wayne's performance was powerful, earning him his first Academy Award nomination. But when the night came, the statue went to Broderick Crawford for All the King's Men. The loss stung deeply, especially because Wayne had famously turned down that very role, calling it un-American. It would take more than a decade for Wayne to get another shot at Oscar glory. In the meantime, he set his sights on a passion project, one that would test him like never before. The Alamo, a risk worth dying for. John Wayne had been obsessed with telling the story of the Battle of the Alamo for over 15 years. It wasn't just another Western to him, it was a patriotic epic, a symbol of sacrifice and American grit. But Hollywood wasn't convinced. So in 1960, Wayne put everything on the line to make it happen. He mortgaged his house, cars, even his boat to raise the film's massive $12 million budget. To ensure historical accuracy, Wayne built a full-scale replica of the Alamo in Brackettville, Texas. It took 2 years and more than 1.5 million adobe bricks to construct. Everything down to the nails matched the 1830s era. Filming was intense. With over 7,000 extras and 1,500 horses, it was one of the most ambitious shoots of its time. The cast and crew battled extreme heat, up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Injuries were common. In one scene, an actor was stabbed with a bayonet and needed 26 stitches. Wayne directed, produced, and starred in the film as Davy Crockett. He refused to cut corners even when it meant delaying production or exceeding budget. When the Alamo premiered, it was a spectacle, complete with fireworks and a Texas parade. It earned 7 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture. But critics were divided. While many praised the scale and sincerity, others criticized it as overly nationalistic. Most painful of all, Wayne wasn't nominated for Best Director, a blow to a man who had given everything to the project. Still, the Alamo endured as a cultural landmark and sparked a national conversation about heroism in history. Wayne never recovered the full financial investment, but in his heart, he had made the film he believed the country needed. True grit, a lifetime earned. By the late 1960s, John Wayne was aging and feeling it. Years of filming under harsh conditions and a heavy smoking habit had taken a toll. In 1964, he had been diagnosed with lung cancer, losing 1 lung and 2 ribs in a high-risk surgery. Yet he bounced back, returning to work with the same intensity that defined his career. So when the script for True Grit landed on his desk in 1969, Wayne was hesitant. The role of Rooster Cogburn, a rough, one-eyed U.S. Marshal, felt too close to home. He was recovering from surgery, out of shape, and unsure if he had it in him. But after reading Charles Portis's novel, Wayne saw the opportunity. This wasn't just another cowboy film, it was a deep, character-driven story with emotional weight. He agreed to take the part. Filming in Colorado was brutal. The cold, high-altitude conditions strained Wayne's health. He often required oxygen tanks between scenes, and in one dangerous moment, his horse stumbled on a hill, nearly throwing him off. He tore a muscle in his shoulder but kept going. To play Cogburn, Wayne gained weight, wore an eye patch that impaired his vision, and memorized the sets so he wouldn't bump into props. It was a role unlike any he had played, a grizzled lawman with heart humor and deep flaws. Audiences loved it. True Grit became one of the highest-grossing films of the year, earning over $31 million at the box office. When Wayne took the stage at the 1970 Academy Awards, flu-ridden but smiling, he finally received his Oscar for Best Actor. "If I'd known this," he quipped, "I'd have put that patch on 35 years earlier." Critics debated whether it was a career Oscar more about honoring his legacy than the performance itself. Wayne didn't care. He had it in his hands, and after decades of near misses, it was his moment of validation. Behind John Wayne's tough on-screen persona was a deeply complicated personal life, marked by passion, betrayal, and emotional distance. He married 3 times, fathered 7 children, and had romantic entanglements that blurred the line between tabloid drama and heartfelt devotion. His first marriage to Josephine Sayens began in 1933, just as his acting career was taking off. They had 4 children together, but his growing fame kept him away from home. The final straw came in the form of a scandalous affair with the legendary Marlene Dietrich, which began in 1938 during filming of 7 Sinners. Wayne and Josephine tried to patch things up. They even traveled to Mexico in 1943 for a reconciliation, but it was too late. They divorced in 1945, ending their 12-year union. Wayne's second marriage to Esperanza Bauer was anything but peaceful. A former Mexican actress, Esperanza was intensely jealous, especially during Wayne's on-screen pairing with co-star Gail Russell. One night after a party, Esperanza, drunk and furious, reportedly pulled a gun on Wayne as he walked through the door. No shots were fired, but the marriage soon crumbled. They divorced in 1954. Later that same year, he married Pilar Palete, a Peruvian actress. They had 3 children and for a time appeared more stable. But by 1973, the couple had quietly separated. Rather than divorcing, Wayne moved in with his personal secretary, Pat Stacy, who became his caretaker and companion until the end of his life. His affair with Marlene Dietrich had long since ended by then, but the two remained close friends. She often called Wayne the love of her life and used her Hollywood clout to help his career. Their passionate letters revealed a bond deeper than gossip could explain. There was also the enduring connection with actress Maureen O'Hara. Their chemistry in films like The Quiet Man led fans to believe they were romantically involved. Though they never married, their friendship endured. O'Hara was even by Wayne's side during his final years, helping him receive a Congressional Gold Medal in his honor. The Big C and the Final Battle. In 1964, at the age of 57, John Wayne was diagnosed with lung cancer. A lifetime of chain smoking, sometimes as much as 6 packs a day, had caught up with him. Doctors gave him a grim choice: undergo a risky surgery to remove his left lung and 2 ribs, or die. He chose to fight. The operation was successful, and Wayne remained cancer-free for 5 years. But what made his battle remarkable wasn't just his survival, it was his decision to go public. At a time when most celebrities kept their health issues secret, Wayne did the opposite. He used his diagnosis to raise awareness, even coining the term the Big C to make cancer less frightening. In 1965, he appeared in a national commercial for the American Cancer Society, urging people to support research and get screened. It was a bold move that helped destigmatize cancer and inspired many to seek early treatment. But in 1979, tragedy struck again. Wayne was diagnosed with stomach cancer, and this time his body was weaker. He tried an experimental vaccine, hoping for a miracle. Even as his condition worsened, he recorded messages from his hospital bed calling for more funding and awareness. His final film, The Shootist, 1976, was eerily prophetic. He played an aging gunslinger dying of cancer, mirroring his real-life struggle. Wayne insisted on doing many of his own stunts and changed the script so his character wouldn't be shot in the back. "I've never shot a man in the back in a movie," he declared. "I'm not starting now." The film was a box office success, earning $13.4 million and was seen as a poignant farewell to his fans. Wayne, ever the fighter, never gave in, on screen or off. Death, mourning, and legacy. On June 11, 1979, John Wayne died at the age of 72 at UCLA Medical Center. His death marked the end of an era America had lost not just a movie star, but a symbol of grit, patriotism, and rugged individuality. President Jimmy Carter paid tribute, calling him bigger than life and a true American hero. Thousands of fans gathered outside his home and the hospital. They left behind flowers, candles, cowboy hats, and handwritten notes. His Hollywood Walk of Fame star became a memorial site overnight. Though the funeral was private, a public memorial was held days later and broadcast to millions. In tribute, the U.S. Naval Academy made Wayne an honorary member of the class of 1979, a symbolic gesture acknowledging his patriotic legacy, even though he had never served in the military. In 1985, Wayne's children launched the John Wayne Cancer Foundation, turning their father's battle into a mission. The foundation helped establish the John Wayne Cancer Institute, which became a leader in cancer research, developing innovative treatments and early detection methods that have since saved countless lives. At the time of his death, Wayne's estate was estimated at $6.85 million, roughly $25 million today. Many were surprised by how modest it seemed for such a towering figure in entertainment. But Wayne had lived generously, spent freely, and invested heavily in his own projects. His most cherished property, his Newport Beach mansion, reflected who he was. Unpretentious on the outside, yet grand and full of character inside. After his passing, it sold for $5.50 million, a record-breaking figure at the time. Even in death, Wayne's presence loomed large. Airports, schools, cancer centers, and statues bore his name. His legacy, like the man himself, was impossible to ignore. And that's the true story behind John Wayne. His rise from humble beginnings, the fame, the heartbreak, the battles he fought off-screen, and the legacy that still sparks conversation today. He wasn't just a movie star. He was a symbol, for better or worse, of a certain kind of American spirit. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into legends of Hollywood and beyond, and drop a comment below. What's your favorite John Wayne movie? Or what surprised you most about his life? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.